in almost every realm, we're cluttering mentally, emotionally, and sometimes, our environment. It's the decluttering that gets us to that source, that connection, gets us in touch with ourselves, gets us in touch with the direction. We are able to see the road coming up ahead with a whole lot more clarity. And side note, your intuition opens. The more you declutter, the more you have access to that sixth sense.
You are now listening to the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, best-selling author of the book Stay the Course, and Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Member, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be getting some tips and techniques to advance yourself up next. Before the episode officially starts, we got another highlight. Another review highlight, that is, and today's review comes from Dr. Joanna Cuyava. Another past guest, you love to see it. This review is titled, Great Show, Fun Host, Great Insights. Dom has a great sense of humor and puts his guests at ease. Fun interviews and new insights. After each episode, you leave enriched, entertained, and wiser. And you heard that from the good doc herself. We'll put a link to her episode in the show notes so that way you can check it out, especially if you're going to love this upcoming episode right now. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, it's the Going North podcast. We got another super special, awesome human that could probably fit all three of those G's and more, courtesy of the magicalpodmatch.com, where podcast guests get to connect with podcast hosts. And we got another wonderful person who knows how to set the microphone matches on fire, because today's featured best-selling award-winning author is one of the leading spiritual coaches in intuitive development today. That's right, indeed. Developing that intuition, baby. That's right. And she's also an award intuitive development course creator. So that's right, folks. She created a course and won an award for it. That's right, folks. That's right. This ain't your ordinary person who created some courses, y'all. They actually won awards for them. So let's give it up for the I Am herself. That's right, indeed. We ain't talking about the great I Am up there in the sky. We're talking about the intelligent and magnificent Isabeau Maxwell. How you doing today, Isabeau?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah, that's right, indeed. That's right. Glad to have you on like neck of bone. That's right, indeed. Ah, yeah, that's right, indeed. So, my goodness, as with all introductions, they probably forget about a good 75 days of content, and it's your first time on the shows. Usually like to get the backstory for the folks listening at home in their cars or wherever they're at, maybe even with their cats. So my feeling is in on how you got to where you are today, Isabeau.
So today I work at teaching others how to utilize their intuition in everyday life. But how I got here was a little bit interesting. I was 32. This was years ago. I'm not going to age myself, Dom, but this was quite a while ago. And my grandmother passed away. And I was a complete skeptic at the time. I didn't believe in intuition, spirituality. I didn't really have any sort of religious background or anything like that I was, deep into. And my grandmother passed away, and within a short time after passing, she showed up in my living room. And it was striking is like the gentle word to say it. It was actually it was a bit scary, and in a good way, you could say. But she showed up. She was 70% solid, obviously in spirit form because she had passed away, and she was right in front of me and smiled. She was there for a few seconds and then disappeared. And I let my grief take over and said, maybe this could be real. And even though I was trying to prove it wasn't and to prove that it was grief, I ended up proving that it was. The proof just kept coming through, and it got stronger and stronger and stronger. So I decided to, open up shop and work as an intuitive. And I did professional readings for quite a while. Loved it. Met some really cool, incredible people. And then I started to meet more and more individuals that said, oh, intuition is, only for a special few. It's for people who are gifted with it, or they have the gift of it, and I remember thinking, if I can do this, you can. Like, I was the least, you know, applicable person for stepping into intuition. So if I could do it, anyone else could. And I stepped out into the world to start teaching people.
Ah, there you go. From grief to apples on your desk. I love it. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So sorry for the passing of your grandmother. Like that's definitely a huge loss. Loss is huge for anyone, but hey, it's like grandmother's like, hey, probably had a bunch of wonderful stories and moments shared and everything. So definitely sorry about that. And my goodness, so it's like, hey, it's like that classic story when you talk about law of attraction, where it's like you scream no at it, it comes to you faster. I guess it sounds like that's
Yeah,
what happened here.
that's exactly it. I mean, I remember the first, the first words out of my mouth when she appeared was, if that's you, don't ever do that again. And it was a reaction because up until that point, the only thing that was a reality was like, horror movies and scary things. And, if you don't believe any of that's true, then it's really startling. And I was very close to her. So I really, and thank you so much. Uh, but I really I wanted it to be her, but I also didn't, I didn't want to, be playing games with my mind. I had two kids to raise, and, this was way out of my box, like way outside of anything that I would have ever approached. And here I am today.
There you go. That's right. Out of the box into the wild.
Oh yeah, yeah. If somebody had said to me 20 years ago, in a couple of years, you're going to open up intuitively and start, communicating with source and with people on the other side and things like this, I would have laughed them out of the room. Would have been like, nope, mm-mm, not going to happen.
That's right. Times be changing, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right. Them times be changing. It's kind of interesting too. I guess it depends on who you put stuff around, because like intuitive abilities, it's like it. It's like we're freaking made of spirit. We got these clay houses here. It's like, it's like when folks think about it, it's like, hey, we should all have at least a base level of spiritual abilities here, but not everybody's ready for that. It seems.
Yeah, it's, here we are, we're driving around in these cars that we call bodies. And up until that point, I had never really stopped to think about who's really looking out of my eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not my eyes that are seeing. There's something kind of behind the machine. And I had never really taken that moment to sit with that and say, okay, well, who am I really? Because the body isn't making the decisions. You can say, oh, well, the mind, but who's running the mind? And I had never sat with any of those questions before up until this point. And I had, I was a businesswoman. I've been a businesswoman my entire life. I heard a lot of people in business talk about using their intuition and using their gut. And it's a very common, concept. But when it goes even further than that, when it goes to being able to access, answers and really get some insight and direction, that's where I think it gets fun.
Oh yeah, that's right. That phone on the bun right there. That's right, indeed. Cause yeah, the good old gut feeling decisions. Like, hey, if you feel in your gut something's wrong or good, like, hey, listen to that magical gut. Or heck, even for the folks who really are into it, your heart and your gut, your hut. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. But it sounds like it's at a deeper level. So my goodness, so what helped you to develop your six pack intuitive abs?
For me, it was a matter of really decluttering. And I think it's not only true in business and in almost everything we do, parenting, business, friendships. you know I think decluttering is huge. We as humans have quite the habit of collecting, and you might have a minimalist home, but you might still be collecting, the to-do list in your head, or the relationships that you need to work out or improve, or all of these tasks that you want or you are creating as issues in the mind. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met over the years not claim, because I was one of them as well, but identify, that's a better word, identify as problem solvers. And so when we identify as a problem solver, we collect problems to solve. That's the law of attraction. So as humans in almost every realm, we're cluttering mentally, emotionally, and sometimes, our environment. It's the decluttering that gets us to that source, that connection, gets us in touch with ourselves, gets us in touch with, the direction. We are able to see the road coming up ahead with a whole lot more clarity. And side note, your intuition opens. The more you declutter, the more you have access to that sixth sense.
There you go. That's right indeed. So you heard that right, folks. Go back to the 200s and check out that Tracy McCubbin episode and declutter, baby. That's right indeed. Get that declutter in your life. That's right indeed. So that way you get to fully move again. You get to have all of your movement. You don't have to be trapped inside of your own wonderful hoarding of everything from emotional baggage to actual luggage.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's right indeed. So you got this magical method that you've created called the Sage Method. So my goodness, I feel like it involves more than just the regular sage that folks be talking about burning at night to protect from spirits. So what is the Sage Method for the folks listening around the world?
Well, the SAGE method it's a little bit of a formula. And it's a course that's going to ask you to do, quite a bit. So it's a little intensive. But when I first opened up, I didn't have anyone, to talk to, because no one in my circles was interested in spirituality or intuition or that was all woo woo, right? That was kind of where my head was at. And I didn't really have any friends or associates that I could chat with. So I started searching. I looked up classes. I went to some intuitive classes, and every class I went to, I remember they would just have you practice, like, oh, here's this. Pick up tell me what you get from it, and pick it up and open up your intuition and just do a reading on it, or, give me some information. I remember leaving each of those classes thinking, well, I came to learn how, not to just try. Like I can sit in my living room and just try. I came to learn how. And that's really where the SAGE method flourishes, is in addition to discussing, decluttering and, helping people understand how our energetics is connected to clutter and how our energetics flows. In addition to that, it's how does this all work? How does intuition work? And how does it connect with the other five senses? And how does your intuition work uniquely for you? Because that was really what I was hungry for, because I'm the person that if I understand how it works, then I can utilize it better. And that's really the approach with the SAGE method.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right indeed. That's right. Don't be in that living room all day, y'all. That's right. You gotta do. That's right. You got a Mountain Dew.
And understand it and do. Exactly.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, my goodness, so what was probably the hardest part of putting this entire course together? Because I'm pretty sure you had a boatload of knowledge at the time that you're still building upon. And it's like, oh, God, where do I actually start? So the folks can understand it at level one, as opposed to folks who may already be up there who may not be ready yet.
For me, I started teaching the course back in 2007, and I taught it live in person. I would take, 10 or 12 students at a time. And it's a 7-week course. So we would meet once a week. And I taught it that way for a long time. And, some people will relate when they hear me say this. I taught it so much that I thought, if I have to teach this one more time, I'm going to go crazy. This
Yeah.
is like, I can't repeat this again. And I mean, I kept it fresh and new, but it just, I had done it for so many years, 2005 to 2018, and just live, same course. So I decided to put it online, and a good friend of mine said, put it online, sell online courses. This was a new concept. And I got to tell you, the hardest thing, Dom, was filming it. It was filming it. Just this concept. I think I took a week to figure out my lighting, because that was my excuse to not get started, right? I had
Yeah.
all these excuses that came right up in front of me of like, well, this isn't going to look good. How are people, it was just so many excuses came up. And that was the most roadblocks I've run into as an entrepreneur, I think, ever, because it was very intimidating to get it on film.
Yep. I get you. I get you. I fully understand because it's like, oh man, in the process of online course right now, and it's like, hey, stuff occasionally comes out there, but it's like, oh yeah, I should get around to recording. No, I should probably do some more writing, some more contribution to
Yeah,
some other
I gotta
projects.
I gotta work on the branding a little. I'm gonna work on let's work on the projections. Yeah, that was me. It took quite a while to get it on film. And when I did, it was wonderful. But I had to reach out to some other people who had done this and chat with them and just say, do you have any words of wisdom? Because that's priceless. Being able to reach out to somebody else in business and be like, all right, what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. And the best advice I got when it came to filming was talk to the camera like it's one individual person. And that worked really, really well. Fast forward a number of years, here I am on camera all the time now, and it's no big deal.
Well, hey, well, the Beau and Beau stands are beautiful. How can it not be? No, he's to get on camera now. I mean, hey. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness, finally getting that big victory and being able to get the course and get past all those darn roadblocks and setbacks and probably negative self talk. So, my goodness, so for those out there who may be on the woo woo side of the game and looking to really tap into finally creating a spiritual business so they can sustain their lives and other folks' lives that they love, any advice for those folks to really step into that zone and really do the darn thing and get to the next level?
Absolutely. I've got woo-woo advice, and then I've got some down-to-earth advice. So woo-woo advice would be to remember, if you're stepping into the spiritual world to do business, whether that is energy work, readings, teaching courses, et cetera, don't forget to take a moment and get real quiet and just connect spiritually to all of those that you could assist. It's kind of like stepping aside and saying, hey, this is how I want to help. And I'm sending out the energy of, if it's a right fit, let them come my way and find me. So there's some spirituality behind marketing when it comes to doing spiritual work, really. All those that can benefit from my help, please send them my way. A little bit of a law of attraction there. And the down to earth advice is consistency. You have to be consistent. Find your outlet, whether that is whatever that is, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Find your outlet so people can see you and hear you on a regular basis, and stay consistent. It's those that are willing to play the long game that reap the biggest reward.
Sweet. That's right, indeed. Get those dashins in your life, y'all. The long game, indeed. That's right, indeed.
Mhm.
Get those wiener dogs, indeed. And play the long game. That's right. That's right, indeed. Actually, better yet, not just one wiener dog. Get like 50 wiener dogs. That's right. Go that long. Maybe even longer.
Line them up. Line them up.
That's right, indeed. Line them up. That's right, indeed. Yeah, it's definitely so right, though. It's like, hey, definitely got to be consistent. Because that's one of the major things that holds folks back from time to time from really getting that traction. It's like, hey, I've been consistent for one day, and that's it. No success yet. It's like, hey, you got to do that more than just a day, y'all.
You've got to stick with it. And in today's world, with everything being so remote, people need to see you and they need to hear you and they need to get to know you. I mean, it's one thing to hire an accountant, it's another to hire a lawyer, it's another to hire an intuitive. So you're not going to be talking about your personal business. Okay, well, maybe you are, you know what I mean? But it's a much more kind of personal sort of connective session with an intuitive, where you might be talking about family members. So there's a little bit of a trust factor there. And if people can see you and they can hear you, they can kind of get to know you. And that's a huge part of marketing in the spiritual world.
Yeah, that's right indeed. That huge part indeed. That trust factor, y'all. That's right indeed. That giant gold coin of trust. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Gotta build it up. Gotta be seen. Gotta be heard, y'all. Definitely gotta be seen. And gotta be heard. That's right indeed. Especially when there's sheep involved, y'all. Definitely gotta be heard indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, since you've been on a boatload of these magical podcasts, you've been dropping content consistently on the magical tube of you. Is there a question that you wish to be asked more often when you're on the guest side of the game on these podcasts?
The tube of you. That is just, every now and then you hear something and it just clicks and you're like, oh, I'm using that. That's here on out. I am calling it the tube of you.
Woo!
I remember going to lunch once and they asked my name when I put the order in. And when the gentleman called my name out, I thought, yep, that's what I'm going to call myself from here on out. And he called out Isabeau, and I thought,
yeah,
yeah, I'm taking that. That's what I want. That's my new name. I love it. What question have I always wanted to be asked? Let's see. Because there's a lot of questions you can ask a medium, right? I mean, there's so much curiosity behind, what happens. But I think one question that I always find interesting is, the skeptic question. Like, how does one go from, skeptic to not skeptic? And is it set up for all skeptics to eventually open up to this? I guess that would be my insight that I'd like to share with people, is the message I guess I'd like to get across is, if you are intuitive, if you are open spiritually, if you are following a spiritual path, do you try to influence a skeptic?
Sorry indeed, sorry indeed. It's a good point indeed, because it's true. It's like, hey, so do you see it as a time waster? Do you actually know it? Better yet, I'm guessing with this case is the discernment issue more than anything else in this case when it comes to the skeptics.
I think so. My personal opinion comes from being a former skeptic. So that's kind of where I approach it. I would say to all intuitives that are trying to prove anything, just to stop trying to prove, because give it back to the skeptic to decide where they want to be with it. And some people are going to be and need to be and should be skeptic for their entire life. I don't think that we all need to be on the exact same pattern, the exact same roller coaster. You know what I mean? So when somebody confronts and says, oh, well, that's not real, then that's okay. And then, we don't need to turn around and prove it. I guess I would say give it back to the skeptics to decide where they want to be. There are going to be individuals that hit a point in their life where they say, okay, there's something bigger than me, bigger than all of this. And I really want to find out what that really, really is. And in that case, support, love, encourage, teach, all of that. But I've had over the years a lot of skeptics, they try to challenge you, or they want. What I've learned is if a skeptic is solidly skeptic, there's no point nor reason to push that, let them be where they're at. And then hopefully they'll let you be where you're at.
Me like indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of skeptics of everything everywhere nowadays more than ever since we have so much access to basically the arm hammer and another hammer.
Exactly. Exactly. And people forget too that sometimes, in my case at least, I didn't realize this until after I'd opened up, but my skepticism was my security blanket. When I shut my door at night and locked it, that everything was out. Like no one could get into my home. And then you open up intuitively, and you know, the, a solid door lock isn't going to keep a spirit out. So it's a bit of a security blanket too, because when you open up to something bigger than all of this, that opens a whole can of worms for people, and they have to be ready to open that.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Gotta be ready to open up them worms. That's right indeed. That way you can go out and fish.
Go out fishing. Yeah. Go fishing.
That's right indeed.
Also, I tell people when it comes to intuitives, if you're interested in finding one or meeting with one, please get a referral from a friend. Like just any referral you can get, because just like every industry out there, right, Dom, there's the bad apples, and they're out there.
Oh yeah, you're so right. Funny enough, you actually remind me of a early episode this year. I think it was Corby who met last year. It was like, yeah, it's kind of like those psychic drive-bys with the swamis with the bad accents and making it look bad for the
Oh,
actual folks who are actually
yes.
psychic and actually intuitive. It's like, no, a real
No,
person's
no.
not gonna do that to you.
Yes. Please take down the fluorescent sign. And please do not ask for $10 for a palm reading. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's people out there. If anyone ever intuitively, like any intuitive ever says to you that you're cursed or you've got darkness and only they can lift it, and here's a candle and the candle's $300, run. Get out of there as fast as you possibly can. So yeah, there's some bad apples out there, and for the real intuitives that can be frustrating, but the same is for every industry. I mean, every industry has their less thans, we could call them.
That's right. They're in the elementary math. That's right. Less than
Hmm.
indeed. That's right indeed. Get out of grade 3, y'all. That's right. Let me stop.
Hmm.
Oh man. Speaking of grades and random bad apples, if your wonderful book cracking open, that marvelous book was a food, what would it be and why?
It would be comfort food, because it's a really fun read. So now in college, I got a math degree, right? I've been running businesses, pretty much my entire life. And when I finally sat down to write the book, I thought, yeah, I didn't do well in English. This is not going to go very well. So I met an incredible editor, absolutely incredible. And I'm so grateful for meeting him, because he really made it a good read. So if you're looking for one of those books where it kind of, engrosses you and kind of sucks you in, he did a great job. It's written in a memoir format, so it's not just, telling you what happened when I first opened up and then and this happened. It's actually written in a story format, which is a whole lot more inviting, I think, than straight up biography. But it's kind of comfort food. It's great. If anyone ever wanted to hear the very raw realness of a skeptic turned professional intuitive, yeah, that book's a fun read for you.
That's right. That fun on the bun right there. That's right. that comfort bun.
Yeah, this is the comfort food. It's the book you like curl up in a hammock and you know and enjoy.
There you go. And make sure there's curls in your hair while you're curling up. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right for the curlception.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Do your hair before reading the book. That's a good move. I like it.
That's right. And then take a selfie and send it to Isabeau.
Yes. And then join Isabuya on the tube of you.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's right. The mind control's working. That's right.
Mhm. There it is.
That's right, indeed. Soon she'll be sharing corny jokes with people. It's gonna be freaking amazing.
Oh. Oh.
Always live for those reactions. So priceless. So my goodness, if you're to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but you're still in 2022, what advice would you give to yourself?
To gain patience. I know that I did not gain patience until just recently. If I could go back, if I could be 25 right now and tell myself one thing, it would be that kick patience into gear right now. Like, buckle up, get ready to play the long game, be in it to be in it, not for anything other than this is what you get excited to do every day. Be in the long game and have patience.
Woohoo! That's right indeed, that's right indeed. That wiener dog appears again, y'all. That's right indeed, that patience. That's right. That's right, the Dr. Wiener dog appears. That's right. Because the Dr. Wiener dog needs all the patience.
All the patience. Enjoy the process, not the end game. Enjoy the process.
Yeah, it's true. Because once you get that win, it's like, all right, next mountain, baby. Let's go.
Exactly. I spent years wanting to be at the top of the mountain right now. At the top of the mountain right now. And I failed to enjoy the actual climb. And I've finally figured that out. I mean, you know. I still got some years ahead of me, which is good, but I finally figured out to actually enjoy the process.
That's right, indeed. That's summit obsession, y'all. That's right. Don't be summit obsessed, indeed. Don't have to be at the top of the mountain just yet. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Besides, the air's pretty thin up there anyway. Like, enjoy the climb, y'all. That's right,
That's true.
indeed.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, I do know that folks need to chase your wonderful website and chase your journey and make a climb all the way up to the Isabeau Mountain, or should I say the Isabouya Mountain. So for those who need to do just that and keep up with all that you're doing, what's the best way for folks to do so?
We keep everything at one easy location, which is the website. It's thesagemethod.com.
Oh, the Sage Method, baby. Just right indeed. So you heard that right, folks. Go over to thesagemethod.com. Indeed. Put on a warlock costume, indeed, and be like, I'm here, baby. Yeah.
I am
That's right.
here. Yeah.
That's right, indeed. Dive into some of the goodies. That's right, indeed. Even check out her podcast, too. That's right. Cracking Open is also a podcast as well with magical stories, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. From those magical ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Other Side Chats is one of my favorites.
Ah, yeah. That's right, indeed. It ain't just this side, but the other side.
Mm-hmm. If people are interested in, what a medium does and some of the things that they experience, I would say give a listen to some of the other side chats. Those are fun. Those are, all my experiences out there on the tube of you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Totally tubular.
Totally tubular.
Woo! Haven't said that one in years. Woohoo! I love to hear it. That's right, indeed. The chickens are also happy about the other side chats, indeed. So, my goodness, you heard that right, folks. So, sagemethod.com, I'm going to put that in the show notes and be on the lookout too, especially when the wonderful Beau decides to drop another book, indeed. That's right, indeed. So she can continue to be booked solid. That's right. Oh, man. So, my goodness, any parting words before we close up shop, Beau?
Just enjoy the moment, man. Just enjoy the moment. Be in it. I know that people such as myself who are driven and love a challenge and love that forward momentum, we get really focused on the end game, and there's a lot to be found in the moment.
Thanks a bunch for tuning in and setting aside some of your time to listen to this wonderful podcast, Going North. If you really enjoyed what you heard, do me a solid and share this with your network and someone that you care about that would get something out of it too. And be sure to subscribe to hear more, and heck, even check out the backlog if you would like, because there are hundreds of episodes to choose from, and they just keep getting better and not butter.